Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Gittin page 26, which discusses the issue of writing a divorce document not for the sake of a particular woman. It's required because the Torah says, because of law, it needs to be written for her. Namely, you cannot just write the entire divorce document with everyone's names involved, and then just coincidentally it's the same man's name, same woman's name. It cannot be used. It has to be that the scribe already, at the time of writing the get, knew in advance that these were the people that he was writing it for. Now, there are other parts of this divorce document, other than just her name and his name, some basic information, which is just a generic part of the text, is questionable whether or not it is allowed to be written. And on this, the Talmud here tells us that possibly we will be lenient and we will allow this scribe to at least write some of it. And the question is, why? Why do we want the scribe to be able to at least have written some of it? So in this, the Talmud gives two answers regarding this leniency. And that is, first of all, we want to be able to help the scribes themselves. It's a very tedious, difficult profession, writing documents. And therefore, if let's say, for example, this individual is writing a bunch of documents, and then all of a sudden he's preoccupied with his time, so he very well may not be able to get around to writing all these divorce documents. So to make it easier for the scribe, we're going to allow him to at least write a lot of the generic parts of the divorce document, according to these opinions. And then when the individuals come, he can just fill in the specific names and information that is missing. That is one interpretation. The second, which is similar to it, which I'd like to focus more on, is what's called the issue of an aguna. We've heard this numerous times, that we're very concerned that a woman who should be getting divorced potentially may not end up getting divorced and end up being in this status, again called aguna, where she will never be able to get remarried because she's still married to this first guy. So what could potentially be the issue? Let's say you have a man who is about to leave the country on a one-way ticket. He's not planning on coming back anytime soon. And he gets into, obviously, a very, very difficult situation with his wife, and he does not want to remain married with her. They want to separate and part ways. But he may not necessarily care so much about this procedure. And therefore, he'll go to a scribe and say, you know what, I have a flight to catch in an hour. And imagine that the sofer says, okay, you know what, let me write this document from scratch. So he'll say, I don't have time for this, and he'll just leave. And then it'll turn out that this woman will not be able to get remarried because we don't know where this guy is, and she never received a divorce. So therefore, the rabbis say that we want to be extremely lenient here, because one potentially could say, let's not allow the scribe to write anything in advance. Because if we start allowing the scribe to start writing some of it, what if he ends up writing more than he was supposed to? And then the whole divorce document could be invalid. We say, we understand. We're dealing with a scribe who's knowledgeable and understands the laws. We're going to allow him to write as much as possible so that in the small chance that you're dealing with this very difficult man that is going to walk in and say, you have 10 minutes and I'm leaving, then he'll say, not a problem. I have this document and all I need is some small pieces of information. I can just fill in a couple of words here and there, and then all of a sudden you'll be divorced. So this again shows us, as we find so many places throughout this tractate, throughout the Gemara, that the sages are extremely, extremely lenient. They want to do everything in their power to make sure that if it is an unfortunate reality that a divorce is inevitable, that we want to make it happen fast without any complications whatsoever. And therefore, for this reason, this scribe is allowed to write all of this in order to avoid a potential situation of her being an aguna.